Well, good afternoon, everybody. Hello and welcome. By way of introduction, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Mary Wells, and I have the distinct pleasure and I'm so proud to be the Dean of the Faculty of Engineering here at the University of Waterloo. And much of our work does take place on the traditional territory of the neutral Anishinaabeg and Haudenosaunee peoples. The land on which our Faculty of Engineering sits is part of the Dish with One Spoon Treaty between the Anishinaabeg and Haudenosaunee peoples, and really symbolizes the agreement to share, protect our resources, and not engage in conflict. I hope all the students who are listening to that do not engage in conflict. I'm just joking. We seek a new relationship with the original peoples of this land, one based on deep honor and profound respect, steeped in our commitment to furthering reconciliation. Thank you all for joining us today. This is a really exciting day. As you know, we have our convocation week. Tonight we have our very first Faculty of Engineering convocation ceremony, and then we have them all day tomorrow. But we're so excited to have this special chat with Rola Dagher. She's sitting right over there with some awesome shoes, I might add. You will see them when she comes up. And she's really one of the technology sector's most, I would call her, transformational leaders. And lucky for us, one of the newest members of our Waterloo Engineering alumni community, Rola will be officially conferred an honorary Doctor of Engineering degree at the convocation ceremony tomorrow morning. So I just want to give her a little round of applause that she's officially becoming one of our Waterloo Engineering community. Rola, we are so grateful to you for taking the time to travel to Waterloo and share with us some words of wisdom. I'm in particular looking forward to hearing about your journey as a leader and some of your thoughts around what it takes to be a transformational leader. Also gleaning some pearls of wisdom on your approach to leadership and how you've been able to drive meaningful change, both within the innovation ecosystem and I would say more collectively society at large. So I'm really looking forward to that. And now I'm just going to talk a little bit about Rola. She has a number of accomplishments, so I've got like 4 pages of notes, just so you know. She's very accomplished. But over her 2-decade career, Rola has emerged as one of the Canadian technology sector's, I would say, greatest leaders. She formerly served as Cisco Systems Canada's CEO before stepping into her current role as Dell Technologies Global Channel Chief. Now, how many of you have Dell computers? I think I do. So quite a few Dell owners here. As someone who emigrated to Canada from Lebanon, Rola knows that diversity of thought is key to building a high-performance workforce. And as a leader in inclusive excellence, she makes it her daily mission to empower, support, and foster diverse talent. Throughout her career, she has consistently been recognized for her commitment to empowering equity-deserving groups. In 2020, she was named one of Canada's top 100 most powerful women by WXN, and in 2019 as the Woman in Communications and Technologies Woman of the Year. These are very, very huge accolades and speak to how she's recognized across our country. She was selected as one of RBC's top 25 Canadian immigrant winners for 2019, and in 2018 she received a leadership award from the Lebanese Chamber Business of Commerce. As an involved citizen in her community, Rola sits on the board of Cedars Cancer Foundation and the Center for Addiction and Mental Health and Kids Help Phone. So she's clearly excelling not in her professional life, but also the way that she gives back to her community. She's also the co-founder of the Black North Initiative, and she sits on several advisory boards, including for Catalyst and the Toronto Region Employment Council, where she promotes growth through diversity in the workplace. We're also grateful to Rola for playing a significant role in shaping the futures of our very own Waterloo Engineering students. As a member of my Faculty of Engineering's Dean Advisory Council, she consistently provides invaluable insight, advice, and direction to help define the strategic direction of our faculty. And Rola, for that, I am so grateful for your wisdom and your advice. Her trajectory from an entry-level position to senior leadership is inspiring, and I think for many of you that are just starting your careers, you will look at it and think about, what are the steps that she took that I can maybe take? And is the foundation on which she has built her personal mission to empower others to dream big. And I hope all of you here think about dreaming big for yourselves. Don't dream small, but dream big in terms of what the possibilities for the future are. We can't wait to hear more, Rola, from you. Now, following her keynote talk today, you will be able to ask Rola questions during our Q&A session right after her talk, and it's going to be moderated by our very own Nanoni Donaldson, who's sitting right next to Rola, and she's the University of Waterloo's Vice President of Advancement. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming Ms. Rola Dagher to the stage.
So get a look at the shoes. Everybody's staring where the shoes. They're very comfortable. Those are the new It shoes. So I gave up on heels about 10 years ago, and now all the women's are wearing sneakers. I'm like, oh, I'm 10 years ahead of you. So Mary, thank you so much for the awesome introduction, and it's so good to be with all of you, and I do owe you a huge thank you for being here on a Friday afternoon. I mean, the dedication, so thank you, thank you, thank you so much. And I promise you, you will enjoy it and you will walk away feeling inspired. It's an honor for me to be here, but before I start, I owe a huge thank you to Nanoni. Nanoni and I met almost 10 years ago, probably, and her smile and laugh is contagious. And if you're ever feeling down, just call her, and her smile and laugh will pick you up in a heartbeat. And I built a friendship with Nanoni that I knew it doesn't matter where I am in the world, if you ever reach out to her, she'll be there for you. So thank you for being you. And the best part is when she introduced me to Mary, and meeting Mary was an amazing treat, and I met during COVID. And I was in the hospital in ICU fighting COVID and long COVID, and I got a text message saying, okay, Mary wants you on the board, and you better say yes. And it was a friend of mine, and he's like, you better say yes. I'm like, I'm in ICU fighting for my life, but okay, yes. So I did say yes under tons of machines and medical assistance, but thank you. It was the best yes I've said, Mary, because what you guys do every day at Waterloo is absolutely incredible. So thank you. It's an honor for me to be serving your board and your faculty and university. So let me start by saying, you know, we're all in a room where I walk in, and I just came back from long travel, and I traveled the world, and every time I walk into a room in Canada, the diversity of seeing multiple people and culture and, you know, the diverse background is amazing, and we all share something that is extremely important and that bonds us for life, and it's the struggle of where we came from, why did we come to Canada, and as an immigrant, it makes me extremely proud. But what I will tell you, though, we fought so hard to get to where we are today, and the challenges that we faced, we chosen not to be victims. We chosen to be fighters every day. And I'm so proud of everybody sitting in this room for being at the university, being a faculty member or a student, because I never had the opportunity to be at university and have a formal degree because I was fighting for my life and hiding from bullets and bomb in a bomb shelter back home in Lebanon. But so thank you for sharing that, you know, perseverance and determination that you all have. So let me begin. I know it's all about leadership today, but I'm going to tell you my story that shaped me to be the leader I am today. Actually, the person first, then the leader that I am today. And I know that Nanoni is going to double click on leadership specifically. But let me tell you, behind me, there is a story that gave me no choice. And I will tell you that I always start by the woman I value in me today. I value the woman that I've been as a mother, as a daughter, as a sister, as a friend, and as a leader. But what I most value today more than ever is the fighter and the survivor that I needed to be to become me. So I'm going to take you back a little bit and I'm going to tell you a story. So think about Lebanon. Everybody knows where Lebanon is? It's in the Middle East, a very small country, 4.5 million, smaller than Toronto pretty much almost. There's 4.5 million Lebanese people in Lebanon, and there's 25 million Lebanese people outside of Lebanon. So picture that. In 1970, I was born of a family of 6 girls. And picture Lebanon at the time that in the 1980s, that's 10 years old, in the middle of a brutal war that was 18 years old, the war. There in a bomb shelter, a 10-year-old girl living, hiding from bomb shelter. That girl was me. Now picture a 10-year-old changing a tire on her father's car while her dad went into the house to get something because she was chosen to be his little boy because 6 girls. Everybody looked at my father, that shame on this parents, they don't have any boys because girls didn't amount to much back in the days in my culture. So that girl with me, and I still actually change my own tires if I ever get stuck on the highway. So picture a 16-year-old getting married and giving birth to a beautiful baby girl in a bomb shelter. Also, that girl was me. Now picture a girl escaping Lebanon during that brutal war, holding a baby in one hand and a passport in another. And on that passport, there's a stamp. In that stamp, today, I call it the stamp of freedom, the stamp of opportunity that Canada gave me back in 1989. So that girl is also me. Now, picture that girl at the time was forced to become a woman very quickly. Picture me never giving up, pushing through every obstacle in front of me, abuse, cancer, COVID, long COVID, that every doctor said I will never ever survive and I should have been dead at that time, and still counting every blessing and every opportunity that life had offered me. And yes, that girl is me. So now, picture a girl started selling purses when she first landed in Canada in 1989, didn't speak a word of English, and was abused the first day that she walked into the job because I didn't know the difference between a loonie and a toonie. And that girl emerged to learning about technology and started selling long-distance minutes at Bell Canada. Then picture that girl evolving into a technology leader, a corporate executive, and all the accolades that Mary listed. And most importantly, the most recent one, which the first time I've ever crossed an academic stage was a year ago, and tomorrow I'll be doing it the second time, was 3 honorary degree, no formal degree, and the Horatio Alger Recipient International Award that was given to me last year for all the impact that I've made in the country. And I'm not listing those for you to think that I'm actually bragging. I'm listing them because if I faced all those struggles in my life, and if I did it, and if I can, you will and you should. So people often say, who is she? How did she get to be? And why her? Why not me? And I say, why not? I come as one, but I stand for thousands of all of us and the stories that we have, because everyone has their own story. Because that girl's story in me is all of us for many reasons. See, life has knocked me down many times. It has showed me things I never wanted to see. I've experienced poverty, sadness, illness, and failures. But one thing for sure, I always did, and I will always get up. From abuse to war, the discrimination to racism and diseases, each chapter of my life held its own challenges, but each chapter of my life had its unique purpose and lesson. And I always say, trust the process and never underestimate the power of struggles that turn into strength every day. See, whenever we see successful people, we only see the public glory, never the private sacrifices, the scars, or the pains that those individuals go through. But it is the pain for me that is the greatest lesson that anyone or me can accumulate. I'd like to share 3 lessons that I've learned throughout my life in 52 years. First, cherish the person you are and own it. We try so hard in our lives to fit in, but the true value is when you stand out. If I had to fit in, I wouldn't be where I am today. I was extremely proud of standing out in every room I walked in. And you could only stand out by being you because everyone else is taken. See, we spend too much time trying to reach other people's standards and too little time defining our own. But believe me, it is so much better to disappoint another person than to lead a life that disappoints you. See, success to me is not about meeting someone else's expectations. It's about living up to your own authentic way. Second lessons. No one deserves the best version of you more than you. I learned that the hard way. Take care of yourself because your health is your wealth. See, I neglected my health for so many years because I thought I was the superwoman and invisible and I never get sick. And until it hit me hard and it gave you a reality check that without your health, you have nothing. See, and when I talk about health, it is extremely important for everyone in the room, especially the younger generation. I don't talk about just physical health. I talk about mental health. For someone like me that is a huge mental health advocate, I tell you, you should never separate both. Your body and mind are inseparable. Mental health today is the leading cause of death. Hence the reason I dedicate so much of my time to mental health organizations. Third, we think as humans, we make a living off what we get and how much money you make and cars and titles. And in fact, to me, we make a life of what we give. See, you can either leave something for people or you can leave something in people. It is your choice. If you can help others, do it. It's that simple. There's no greater reward to me in life than giving back. And the biggest reward for me was when I went back home a year and a half ago after I got extremely ill, and I decided to rebuild the house we were born and raised in and donate it to the community and do a food drive in my father and my mother's name. And that is basically when every person in our town doubted my parents for having 6 girls that are an amount to nothing. And I'm like, there you go. I'll show you what 6 girls can do for parents. And to me, that was the biggest reward in life, and that is accomplishment for me. Nothing else success could cover other than that. So I'm going to leave you all with something today over and above my lessons that I live by every single day. And that is learn it, earn it, and return it. See, for people that are in university today, you spend 20 plus years of your first phase of your life learning. And that is basically the work of life every single day, and you continue to learn to develop yourself. And I learned it the hard way. But will only be completed for you once you continue to learn is earning it. Because the second phase of your life, when you go out there, you need to earn, because everything you get is earned, nothing is given. Unless you're extremely lucky and you come from a very awesome background that everything is handed to you, and not a lot of us are in that position. So, and once you actually develop that and you got to a point in your life where returning it, and that's exactly what I was talking about, because that is when you're going to feel complete of giving back to people around you, to your family, to community, and to the country. And when I talk about giving back, I'm not talking about a financial check and go, that's not what I'm talking about. It's great if you do that, but give back your time, give back a hug, an arm, a shoulder, someone that could lean on you. And when someone in distress, be there for them. Listen to understand, don't listen to speak or judge, and be there for people. So that to me is, I always say, when you return it, and to me, with all my experience and all my success and accolades, mission accomplished for me, because once as leaders we get to the top, shame on us if we don't actually bring the elevator down and lift other people up and raise them up to where you got, because someone took a chance on you. So it is our job to take chances on somebody else. So I'll tell you, remember, for all of us, as we continue to grow and learn, it's not about when we got knocked down in life, it's about what we do when we get back up. And that's the best part of learning through every struggle you go through in life. So I will tell you what keeps me going is the fact, and I'll tell you for all of you in the room, is if you continue to show up, stand up, and speak up for what you believe in and be proud of. See, my father reminds me every day when I see him at 86 years old, Rola, life owes you nothing. Life is an opportunity for you to make the best of it. And I will tell you what my father reminds me every day: go out there, make the best out of your life, and give as much as you can. And remember, every phase of your life requires a new version of you. So thank you very much.
Yeah.
For my mic.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. All right, let me get sorted. I'm putting this here because I don't wear a watch, so if I don't have a phone, I won't have a clue what time it is. Rola, I think everybody in the room just got to experience a little bit of how amazing you are. You are probably the most inspirational person I've ever met.
Thank you.
Your journey, your resiliency, and you just keep pushing, you keep coming back. And I think a lesson for all of us, that you can push and push and push, but if you're not bringing up that next generation, then what are you actually doing? So what we all do at the university, and so it's inspirational to hear that tech leaders are doing that too. So I have a few questions, and then also open it up to the audience in case you have questions as well. And I sent you some in advance, but I'm going to do them in a bit of a different order just to kind of riff on some of the points that you made. So, and I think we know the answer to this, but would you say that the adversity that you experienced in your entire life, really, but do you feel that that's made you the leader and the person that you are today? And what pieces of that have you pulled on?
Great question, and I'll tell you, I've learned so quickly in my life that you never know how strong you are until being strong is the only option you have, period, full stop. And I've also learned that every single struggle that I've had shaped me to be who I am today. It never defined me. And two reasons. One is I'm addicted to hope and faith. And I always remember that no matter how tough the situation is and what you're going through, someone else out there is struggling more than you. And the second thing is, and I was telling the story earlier on, is, the struggle that you go through, you have to be able to learn how to turn those struggles into strength. In fact, when I was going through my illness with long COVID, part of the long COVID, I was one of the first few people in Canada to get long COVID, and I was debilitated. And part of the research that they were doing, they're like, okay, we have 10 doctors, you're gonna meet with everybody, and then there was a psychologist and a psychiatrist. They're like, okay, they just wanna assess how much impact it does on mental health. I'm like, I know my mental health is really strong. That's what kept me going. And I'm like, okay, I can't even talk for that long. So I decided to sit through the session. And then I told her my story. And then at the end, she looked at me, she goes, people struggle with PTSD, and you have PTSG. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's a new one. And I use it now, which is awesome. And that is post-traumatic syndrome of growth. She said, you take every struggle in your life and you turn it into growth, which to me, it gave me an opportunity to learn, how do I continue to build on those struggles that I have in my life? But also those struggles help you to learn how to be the best version of you for next, and what to do and what not to do. And more than ever today, I want to tell you, and I give you the example on my health and what I'm learning, but even fighting through, racism, discrimination, workplace, you name it, back in the days, and still experience it now. For me, I just focus and say, okay, those are the things that I need to do, and those are what keeps me better as a leader, as a mother, as a friend, and as a daughter.
Yeah. So resilience is that crucial component of leadership.
Yes, absolutely. And sometimes, listen, we get to points, I got to a point where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go in a fetal position now. I don't wanna talk to anybody. I might cry, or I might just disconnect from the world. And we all go through them, but those are important. It's okay to do it, but it's not okay to stay in it.
Yeah.
Right? So stay determined, lean on people that could help you get through it. And if you can't find the right people in your circle, in your family to do it, there's nothing wrong with seeking professional help. But you gotta stay focused and determined on getting to be the better version of you.
Yeah, I agree. And so what do you think defines good leadership? Or how do you personally define a good leader?
So to me, leadership comes down to, and I'll give you leadership, my style is I'm a servant leader. And when I first started at Cisco and people were asking me this question, and I started with the servant leadership, people were looking at me like, what is that? And it's very simple. I look at leadership and parenting, and it has the same responsibility. We are, like most of us probably in the room, have kids and parents. you decided to be a parent, your responsibility is to protect your kids, enable them, empower them, and it's the same thing as a leader. You walk into an organization, your team is your responsibility to protect them, to empower them, to enable them, to get out of their way, to go make a difference, to impact the world, and most importantly, to inspire them. And to me, great leaders are not about how many people like them and how many people follow them. It's about how many people you develop, how many people that you will have the heart to say no to, because yes is easy, no is hard, because you help them learn. How many people that you are making a difference in their lives. And to me, leadership comes down to 4 principles. You know, number 1 is you can't take anything personal in order for you to be a great leader, because if you take anything personal, it'll be a disaster and drama zone. Number 1. Number 2 is you got to follow through on every commitment that you make as a leader, because that earns you credibility and people will trust you. You got to be impeccable with your words, because to me, every leader can make or break someone's day, because it's the words that you use every day that someone could walk into your office and having a bad day. And if they're having a bad day, don't start thinking to speak, or, you know, we're very quick to speak and to judge. And no, just sit there, listen to understand, don't listen to speak or judge. And then, most importantly, don't make assumptions, because we're very quick as leaders to make assumptions. And basically, at the end of the day, you have to lead with your heart, soul, and mind, because that is great leadership. And today, more than ever, those are the leaders that are actually needed in the workplace. Gone are the days where leaders with power or big titles and fear. People join organization because of the brand of the company, but people leave organization because of people, not because of the brand of the company.
I fully agree. And it used to be like a badge of honor to be able to say that you outlasted like that leader that was negative or had that negative vibe. But that I think that's hopefully shifted.
Absolutely.
And those people aren't the ones that are advancing anymore.
Yeah.
So what do you think future leaders need to pay attention to? It's kind of a complex world we're in.
I mean, our biggest asset in every organization is people. The biggest focus in every organization as leaders right now is empathy. Focus on how do you help the people understand how to survive in the workplace. Be extremely kind, and just hire people that are not like you. That think like you, do the same thing like you. Hire people that come from a diverse background. Hire people that know that they're gonna challenge you. People that are going to be in a position where they walk into the room and everybody looks different, like this room. Those are the people that are the leaders that are gonna succeed. And if you focus on empowering people, you're focusing on inspiring people, that is the recipe for success. Because when you empower the people and inspire them, you gotta get out of their way. You don't hire people to tell them what to do or block them from doing what you hired them for. So to me, that is extremely important, and embracing what people bring to the table. How do you embrace what people bring to the table? I love to walk into a room and one of my leaders challenge me. Rola, I mean, you've done this. Have you ever thought about it? If we do this, this, and that. If you walk into a room where everybody agrees with you, you're in the wrong room. And unfortunately, I know it's 2023, but we still have those problems where you walk in and you fear the title of the above, and you fear the CEO or the CFO or the CRO, and people sit there and just start nodding, and they're like, you know, they just smile at each other, and I'm like, oh my God, that's why I'm called the shit disturber. Honestly, because what you see is what you get. I mean, in a good way, not in a bad way. But you gotta speak up your mind. You gotta speak up your mind in terms of what you believe is right for the organization. And if people are not sponsoring you, or people are not embracing your talent, and you're not being able to make a difference and a change, you're in the wrong organization. See, today more than ever, it comes down to purpose and the value you bring. What is the purpose? What is the life of service that you have? And what are we going to do to change the experience, be it the student experience, the dean experience, the customer experience? But that's what we're looking for. That's what the world is craving for. And being authentic in creating an environment where people lean in with their EQ without being afraid of, oh, okay, I could hire someone with like 10 degrees. But if they don't have emotional quotient, adaptability quotient, decency quotient, and purpose and value quotient, it's really hard.
You can't train those things.
No, you could train IQ, you can't train everything. Plus you have ChatGPT to give you all the IQ now. So.
We do have a tech question later, but so change is hard. Why do you think it's so hard for some, but also how do you think our new leaders, how do you think they can help navigate that roadblock?
So if you change nothing, nothing changes. If you continue to do the exact same thing that you've done, it's the definition of insanity. You work for a large organization, you work for a small organization. People try different things and they tell you, oh, well, we're still doing this and it's not working. Yeah, because have you ever considered changing? It's 2023, right? And we see that a lot. People fear changes because it requires new muscle memories. But comfort and growth don't coexist. A lot of people are comfortable within their environment because they don't like the change, but if you stick in that environment, there's no growth. So I always say it's a Wayne Gretzky thing, and you miss 100% of the shots you don't take in life. If I didn't change multiple careers in my life, I would still be selling long distance at Bell. The truth. It was extremely scary to make changes in my life. The three major changes I've made in my life: I escaped Lebanon in the trunk of a car with my 9-month-old daughter, was homeless, but I wanted to change and get out of an environment on my own. My parents were here. I was left behind, okay? The second change I've made in my life, when I decided to leave a job that I was comfortable in for 15 years. And None, I told you the story. 15 years, I was just so comfortable. It's a job, good money, but then I was sick and tired of the bullying and the abuse that comes with it when your boss walks in and tells you, hey, Rola, you're only successful because of your good looks. And that is, you know, I'm blessed with good looks, but I've got the full package. Bring it, right? I made the decision to leave because I did not want to tolerate the bullshit. The third change I've made is when I was in a job that I absolutely loved, and I was doing great, and you know, None, I think you were shocked when I resigned from Cisco as the CEO, and I was doing, like, I never thought I would leave. But then when Michael Dell calls you, you gotta pick up the phone. And I did pick up the phone, and it was scary going from a $2 billion business as the CEO of Cisco Canada to a $60 billion global business P&L and not knowing anything outside of the Canadian market. That was scary as hell. But that was a change that helped me learn and become who I am today. So I tell you, if you fear change, get out of this building today, put that fear in the box, tape it, lock it, and throw it in the fire that's happening in Quebec.
You've told me a bit about actually how you kind of got through that transition, and I think it was maybe Michael Dell's advice, but she gave me this advice, and I said, well, it's impossible because I have too many things to focus on, but how you framed it around what you should be focused on and how many things should you as a leader be focused on.
Oh my God, she was listening.
Oh, I listen. Yes. I listen when she speaks.
So yes, Michael Dell gave me that advice, and you know, when you walk into a new environment and you walk into a room, especially if you're the big boss in the room, everybody looks at you for decisions. And if it's the right decision or the wrong decisions, they nod their heads because they're like, okay, well, she's the boss. She just made the decision. But then, like I said earlier, I want people to tell me, oh, it's not the right decision. Pause, because let's talk about it. But the best decision I was given by Michael Dell was, okay, Rola, you walk in, this is your job, okay? Don't try to conquer the world. Don't try to throw too many balls in the air because you will drop one, and if you drop one, that's gonna cost you $5 billion, you've ruined your brand. Pick 1 to 3 things max when you first walk into an environment and you're leading, and do the best you can at those 3 things and make a difference, because that's what people are gonna remember you by. Ninoni, you came in, I remember when I first met you, you were, oh my God, you were like a machine. I mean, you're still a machine and, you know, a workaholic, but you were focused on raising that much and bringing so many new people to the university, and you did it with Cisco, you did it, but people remembered you by that, right? And the same thing with me is, I'll give you an example. When I walked into Cisco, I did 3 things and I did them flawlessly, where they were viewed and recognized at the corporate level where they went viral. And people till now still remember me by, she did this, this, and that. So I always say, you know, focus on what is going to earn you credibility and make a difference and impact in the organization versus worrying about 50 things.
Right. Which is very good advice. If you didn't hear it, listen. So I'll switch gears a little bit, and I don't know at what point we want to switch to the audience for questions, but I'll just let you guys twig that. How do you think that business leaders can leverage their influence to advocate for more substantial and quicker actions on changes that are required, kind of at any level? I mean, it could be policy, but also just like in society.
I mean, leaders more than ever today are required to do the right thing, not because if it's a policy or if it is whatever it needs to be done in the organization, they have to do what's right for people, period, full stop. And I'm a huge believer by ensuring leaders are delivering on the expectations of the people first, the community, students, customers, stakeholders, shareholders. In the old days, it used to be about, okay, it's all about performance numbers and shares. Well, today more than ever, if they're not focused, maniacally focused on, I call it the psychological safety in the workplace that leads them to everything else. If they're not focused on the psychological safety in the workplace and ensuring that they have an environment where it attracts people to be in, and an environment that embraces failure in helping people to learn from, and instead of focused on know-it-all, I call it the know-it-all versus the learn-it-all, right? And for me, that's what I lead with every day, and that's what I tell leaders more than ever that is needed, because COVID, I mean, 3 years has changed a lot. I mean, I come here and I see people walking around in the building, which is amazing, but so many times I go to customer meetings or partner meetings and the places are empty. Like, they're begging people to come back to work because the world has changed. The hybrid model is here to stay. and people's expectations are changed every single day. But how do you create that environment where people feel that they can come back and feeling that they're part of the change? They are the change and they can be the change. And I think more than ever today as leaders, the more empathy you provide to deliver on all those expectations, the better environment that you're going to have.
Yeah, I've noticed that too, especially in the places like the Valley. Like it's weird.
Yeah. I mean, in Austin, our headquarters in Austin, and the Dell campus is about 20 buildings, and there's nobody. And at first, Michael Dell and the team, we all decided that we're just gonna keep it as comfortable as possible and no pressure. But then there were so many of the younger generation, I call it, they're being robbed of the development that they need in the workplace, because I mean, I'm older, a lot of people are younger here, but Nanoni, you remember back in the days when we started our career, you walk into the office, you go to the cafeteria, you have lunch with people, you could pick a mentor, you can have a conversation with someone that's going to help you. You got promoted in the workplace, people saw the passion you have, and behind a screen it's really hard. But as we go into the new world, and especially now with what we're coming on with AI, generative AI, and large machine learning and models and all of this stuff, LLMs, it's happening, the new generation is being robbed from that because they've never had the opportunity to know how we did it. How did Mary get there? How did Nanoni get there? How did I get there, right? And for us, it's very important to bring them back, because as leaders, it's our responsibility to teach them the way to get there. Because I mean, listen, I have a 34-year-old and a 29-year-old, my kids. And my daughter works for the largest bank in Canada. And when they said they're gonna go back to work, she's like, Mom, I need a new job. I'm like, Stephanie, you need to show up in the office. It's nice. She goes, no, it's a lot of work. I understand it's a lot of work, and I'm not saying it's going to happen every day, but it's important to at least feel the connection, and I call it the casino effect. When you're in a casino and someone wins next to you, and they're cheering, everybody's like, oh my God, what did you do? How did you do it? How did you win? Can I learn from you? We need that, right? And it's really sad that the new generations become lazier every day because they don't have that and they don't want it. And then when people were talking about the metaverse, I'm like, I hate the metaverse idea. Because now at least people on Zoom dress up and then turn their camera on. The metaverse, you don't even have to get out of bed. Like, you could put on whatever you want in the metaverse and just become who you need to be, right? Yep. So it's important. Call me old-fashioned, but I'm a technologist, but at the same time, I like the human connection, and we're missing it.
I do find, though, now, if someone wants to call me on the phone, I find that weird. I want to actually see you when I'm talking to you. So, there are some good things.
Oh my God, it's so funny you say that, Nanoni, because my kids are like, Mom, why do you use FaceTime all the time? And I'm like, I don't like just talking to them ear. I don't want to talk to the phone. I want the face, the connection, because it's warm, it's emotions, right?
Even if we can't sit beside each other, at least
exactly.
we can see each other. So what do you think some of the opportunities that today's leaders should steer towards are? And do you see any big risks that they should avoid?
So leaders today need to embrace what's coming. And it's coming really, really fast. So if I look at what's happening with generative AI and ChatGPT, and especially for you guys, it's a big struggle from an academic perspective. It's like, it's a funny story. My niece, Sophia, she's 10 years old. I think I told you the story. They call her Mini Rola because she's a shit disturber, and then she doesn't want to study. And then she's a smartass. And she says to me, Auntie Rola, she calls me on FaceTime, Auntie Rola, can you talk to your sister? I'm like, Sophia, just listen to your mom. She's not my sister only, she's your mom. She's like, she wants me to read for 3 hours in its geography, and she wants me to memorize it, but if I go and ask Siri, I'll get the answer in 30 seconds, which is true. From an academic perspective, think about what a 10-year-old is thinking today and how much we're jamming into their brain, where how much are they gonna retain? So for leaders, for me today, I think about what is coming. It's coming really quickly, but how do we use it in the right way? How do we embrace it, and how do we free up our people's time to actually use their brain and capacity to do something that a machine is not gonna do? So I'll tell you, when people ask me the question, do you think AI is gonna replace people's jobs? I tell them, okay, so when the internet was created and invented, so many people thought that it's gonna replace so many jobs, but look how many jobs the internet created. AI will not replace people's jobs, but AI will replace people that will not embrace and learn how to use AI for good. And I call it AI for good because we need, as leaders, I mean, I'll tell you right now at Dell, we're thinking of how do we use AI internally to help free up some tasks that, I mean, and I love my comms team and my marketing team, but I'm like, I don't really need them anymore. Like, I mean, my comms person, she basically says to me, oh my God, Rola, you're scaring me because I haven't heard from you all day. I'm like, okay, Pia, I love you, but by the time I send you a question and you respond back to me, I get it in, but of course, you get what's public knowledge. You're not gonna get what's Dell specific or University of Waterloo specific. And that's where we need to create the environment where, you know, how do you empower people to go out there and, you know, go from 10 hours of doing emails a week to 1 hour, right? And I'll give you the two things that I learned. I was on a panel with the Horatio Alger with Bill Gates, and I couldn't believe that I was sitting so close to Bill Gates, and I have a crush on him. And so the technology crush on him, just be clear. So I asked the question, and his answer was, when it comes to AI and what's happening in the world, it's amazing for two things. He said, for education and for healthcare. For education, imagine all the parents that struggle every day with their kids for learning, and they don't know the answers. So picture, you know, your chat GPT or chat whatever should be, being a private tutor for your kid. But of course, in a secure manner, right? And I think a lot of universities, he said, they have, in education institution, have to rethink how to grade kids. And, you know, in fact, he was saying that they were starting to use, you know, personal assessment of, let's say, you know, Tegan, your daughter, comes into school and basically would need to be assessed without any technology device, so they know her level of thinking before they give her a technology or a PC or a phone, and then they know the difference if it's generated by AI or generated by Tegan's brain, right? Yeah. And they're doing a lot of that. So he thinks it's amazing when it comes to education and how quick kids will learn that way versus the old traditional fashion way. The second one it's great for is healthcare, because imagine the research that could be done before you actually, in the old days, you would know. Now, if you want to go to, you know, Google, and they'll give you 10 links, and then you have to go read them all. And I'll give you an example of what happened to me 3 weeks ago. I struggle with a medical condition called lymphedema on my left leg because of my cancer. And I got off a flight and my leg was on fire, and I looked down and I wear a compression sock and my leg was purple. I'm like, holy shit. So I went, and I was just getting off the plane. I went to ChatGPT, and I said, I have lymphedema. My leg is giving me this, 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 and that, and that's how I feel. In 2 seconds, I got the answer. It's an infection. Go straight to the hospital. You need an IV antibiotic, and it could lead to a blood clot. So I went to my hospital. I was there for 12 hours before I got hooked up to antibiotics and IV, and the doctor gave me the same answer I got from ChatGPT. The same answer. So in fact, I was so frustrated, I said, do you have a second? And I showed him the answer on ChatGPT. He said, I'm really sorry. I said, that's healthcare for you in Canada. But that's what it could help for, right? And I'm not saying, you know, it's brain surgery or anything like that, but it's gonna help allow us to be educated in a manner where it could help us personally versus just relying on so many resources by the time you do your job.
Yep. Yes. That's our last question. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. What a great session. And I loved when you said you're addicted to hope, because I think that's one of the things that has fueled you throughout your life and kept you focused on the right things. And I must admit, yesterday I was in the elevator at 8:40, and there were a few students, and I said, I hope you're not late for class. So I did exactly. Did you do your homework? And they sheepishly said, just a little bit. And I said, okay. But now I won't do that again in the elevator. So, but Rola, I just wanted to let you know, we're so looking forward to bestowing your honorary doctorate tomorrow and hearing you speak to our electrical and computer engineering graduates. And, you know, before we close today, we did want to share a special gift that I hope speaks to you in terms of your values as a person, in terms of empowering other people and the next generation. But so in your honor this summer, we're going to offer a complimentary week to our Engineering Science Quest camp to a local student who's in financial need, and so that they have a chance to come and have an experience here, and hopefully they're inspired by the people around them and this place in terms of what the possibilities hold for their future. And so we're going to do that in your name for this person and to give them a chance. And I think it really speaks to your desire to empower the people around you and to think about the next generation and really giving back to the people. It's not about taking, but it's about giving, and how you've done that throughout your whole life. So again, thank you so much, and
Thank you.
for sharing everything with us.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So Rola will stay for a few minutes. So I know there were some people that might just want to say hi to her. I'm sure there's going to be a lineup, so we'll let you just speak to them for a few minutes, and then. But thanks everybody for attending. Enjoy the rest of the day.